The humanitarian situation is absolutely drastic because of the Israeli terrible siege on Gaza, which has lasted already 65 days. 65 days, not a single piece of bread or a glass of water or any medications were allowed into Gaza. People are starving in Gaza. We already lost 59 children who died because of starvation. We have 70,000 other children who are now suffering from malnutrition. And the 2.1 million people are at the edge of total starvation. This is total inhuman policy by the Israeli side, and it is practically a war crime using starvation as an instrument of war.
And the Israeli government has announced that it intends to intensify the bombardment. How are Palestinians feeling about the prospect of being moved again and coming under more intense bombardment?
The most recent Israeli declaration reveals very clearly that the real intention of this whole war since the very beginning was the total ethnic cleansing of Gaza. And what Netanyahu declared is very clear. He wants to erase to the ground all of Gaza Strip and then push everybody to a concentration camp in the south of Gaza, and then start putting people in the most difficult conditions, starving, and then trying to force them out of Gaza in an act of ethnic cleansing that is the worst in the modern history. And that is happening while the whole world, unfortunately, is watching. And this is happening because President Trump encouraged Netanyahu to go in that direction of ethnic cleansing. Just imagine if all of Victoria in Australia would be erased to the ground and everybody in it will be ethnically cleansed into another place, another country, actually. That is the reality of the Israeli plan.
The International Court of Justice is currently considering that claim of genocide brought by the South African government, and there's been no finding on that yet. But it's obviously a terrible situation there in Gaza. The Israeli government argues it's just after the release of hostages. What do you make of that argument?
Mr. Netanyahu and his government, which can only be described as a fascist government, do not care about the Israeli hostages. If they cared about them, they would have accepted the deal that was proposed by the Palestinian side, which includes the total release of all hostages immediately and a complete ceasefire. But they don't want to stop the war. They don't care about the Israeli prisoners. And they know very well that the continuation of bombardment all over Gaza will mean killing also the Israeli hostages. This government is a very dangerous one in Israel. And they use the excuse also of eliminating Hamas to eliminate all the Palestinian population, the 2.1 million people in Gaza Strip. And let me remind you, they are also conducting acts of ethnic cleansing in the West Bank, which is not governed by Hamas. Also in the West Bank, they are destroying homes, houses, burning them, destroying refugee camps. It's a total terrible policy that is combining three war crimes at the same time: the ethnic cleansing, the genocide, and the collective punishment, including starvation.
So the Israeli government has announced it intends to intensify the bombardment after Donald Trump's visit to the region. Are there some people, though, who just will not move again despite the warnings?
I think this is just a game from the Israeli side to let the Trump's visit pass and then continue the war. As I said, this Israeli government has only one target, which is the total ethnic cleansing of Palestinians, not only from the West Bank, but also not only from Gaza Strip, but also from the West Bank. The whole world community is watching now the collapse of the international law, the collapse of the international humanitarian law. As a matter of fact, what's happening in Gaza is dangerous not only for Palestinians who are losing their lives, including 62,000 Palestinians who were killed in Gaza and including 18,000 children who were killed by Israel. But more than that, this is a threat to the whole world. It means that the whole order that was created after the Second World War, including United Nations, including international law, including human rights, is all about to collapse. because of what Israel is allowed to do, to be impunitive to international law and to be above the international law.
In terms of that international law, as I mentioned before, there is a case of genocide being brought against the Israeli government. The International Court of Justice is considering that at the moment. There hasn't been a finding on that. What else can the international community do? What else are you calling on the international community to do?
Well, the International Criminal Court concluded that there were war crimes and concluded that the Prime Minister of Israel and his ex-defense minister should be arrested and handed over to the court. Now, as I understand, Netanyahu is trying to organize a visit to Australia. Australia is committed to the ICC resolutions. So it would be totally unacceptable if he's allowed in, as Hungary has done, or as the United States of America is doing. In reality, the case of genocide is fully proven because of the so many arguments and documents that were presented to the ICJ. And I hope that the International Court of Justice will conclude very soon its decision. They already concluded that a possibility of genocide is there. And what we see here, what we see in ourselves, what we see among our people who are killed and injured, and the total destruction of Gaza is only indicating that there is a case of genocide. What the world community should do is to immediately impose sanctions on Israel till it stops this atrocity, till it stops this war, not only for the sake of Palestinians, but also for the sake of Israelis themselves. Who is benefiting from the continuation of this terrible massacre? Only Netanyahu and his fascist government.
Do you hold any hope that this impending visit by Donald Trump could lead to some sort of ceasefire?
I am not really sure because, unfortunately, President Trump has encouraged the Israelis to go in the direction of ethnic cleansing when he spoke himself about emptying Gaza from its people and transforming it into a new Riviera. He is encouraging Israel by providing it and supplying it with weapons, with guns, with terrible bombs. Israel has already used no less than 100,000 tons of explosives provided by the United States and some other Western governments to destroy Gaza. This is about 50 kilograms of explosives for each man, woman, and child in Gaza. So we don't see any sign that President Trump is ready to exercise pressure on Israel to stop this war. Maybe if the other countries of the world, including the Arab countries, would tell him that the American interest itself will be affected unless this war stops, he maybe could change his position. But for the time being, the whole world, the whole international community will be considered responsible for the act of starvation, for the act of collective punishment, for abstaining from doing anything to stop this terrible humanitarian crisis in Gaza and this terrible war crime against civilian population there.
Okay, Mustafa Barghouti, thanks for talking to us from Ramallah.